What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to this video called Norway Just Found Something Unbelievable. So, it says here that Norway is about to get even more rich, but it's not because of oil or gas or coal. So, here in the United States, we don't really hear about stuff like this, but this sounds like really big news to me. So today, I want to learn more about what exactly is happening in Norway, because it sounds like this is pretty good for Norway. So let's check this out.
Norway's about to get unimaginably rich, and the strange part is that Norway's not planning to sell more oil, more gas, or more coal. In fact, one day, they may not need to sell any of it at all.
What? Because, Norway is already kind of known for being wealthy. You guys, from what I understand, do very, very well, especially with oil. But you even sell hydroelectric power and salmon, right? So you guys have a lot of cool stuff, and so you're telling me this is another thing that's going to make Norway even more rich? And you guys have that sovereign wealth fund, that big investment fund, right? Norway just has it all. And you have fjords. Why do you just have all the cool stuff?
When Russia invaded Ukraine, many European countries turned to Norway for oil and gas. This led to a five-fold increase of their petroleum exports, and it made Norway Europe's largest supplier. The Norwegian economy is strong, and like they always do, they invested the profits into their government pension fund.
Exactly. The war, Russia attacking Ukraine is horrible. But you can't argue, financially with the oil and stuff. That's been kind of good for Norway. But obviously, it's horrific that this war is still going on.
Which today is worth around $1.5 trillion, or $270,000 per person. But then something happened that could...
I can't help but think about here in the US, we're in debt. We're in $40 trillion of debt or something. Every American owes money, $100 or $200 or $1,000. In Norway, you guys, based on your fund, every Norwegian would get a lot of money. In America, we owe $40 trillion of debt. So it's just kind of unbelievable.
Make oil and gas look very small. In 2023, in a region south of Stavanger, Norwegian geologists confirmed something extraordinary. Beneath the ground sat one of the largest phosphate rock deposits ever found, around 70 billion tons. Phosphate is an extremely rare and essential mineral. It is used to create fertilizer that feeds the world, create batteries, solar panels, and even electric cars. About 70% of the entire phosphate global supply is in Morocco, followed by China, Egypt, and Algeria.
Norway found a huge phosphate deposit? I was kind of joking before, but Norway, the land of Norway, literally has everything. Now you have this phosphate stuff that sounds like it's very valuable.
These are geopolitically sensitive regions. Western countries depend on them, but they do not control them. But Norway just changed that. This single discovery could be worth up to $24 trillion.
What? 24? I was thinking a lot of money, but 24 trillion. That, no matter who you are, for the entire global economy, 24 trillion would make a huge difference for the Earth, let alone just Norway. Is this serious?
That is roughly equal to the remaining oil wealth of Saudi Arabia, and suddenly, Norway is not just rich, it is strategically powerful. This discovery can propel Norway into a whole new category of rich. At current prices, this rock could be worth $24 trillion, which is similar to the worth of Saudi Arabia's entire remaining oil supply.
I mean, it's a great time to be Norwegian. It's an amazing time to be Norway. That's outrageous. 24 trillion? That would like make Norway one of the not just wealthy GDP, not like wealthy for its population size. That would make Norway like just one of the wealthiest countries in the world, period, right?
But to understand how Norway reached this moment, you have to go back much further. In the 1950s, Norway was home to just 3.5 million people. It exported fish, timber, and raw materials. It had been poor centuries earlier, but by mid-century that was no longer true. Norway already had high literacy, low inequality, and a strong democracy. This matters more than people realise. In the early 1900s, Norway learned how to use its geography. Mountains and rivers became hydroelectric power. That cheap electricity fueled heavy industry and modern growth long before oil entered the picture.
See, I know some of this. Hydroelectric power, fish, other stuff. I actually knew some of this.
There is a popular myth that Norway was poor before oil. It wasn't. What it lacked was global relevance. Then in 1959, everything changed nearby. The Netherlands discovered the Groningen gas field, the largest gas field in the world at the time. Suddenly, the North Sea mattered a lot. Within a few years, all major oil companies were searching the North Sea, but Norway hesitated. They were concerned that foreign companies might walk away with the profits. There were also no clear maritime boundaries. So if oil was found, how could they know that it won't be claimed by another country? In May 1960,
that's crazy that there were no boundaries. Like, what belongs to the UK or the Netherlands or Norway or Denmark? Or I imagine now there's very clear boundaries, right? Even in the water.
Norway issued a royal decree declaring sovereignty over its continental shelf. 2 years later, European countries agreed on maritime boundaries using the median line principle. Exactly 1 month later, Norway allowed foreign companies to police their bids, and the exploration of the Norwegian North Sea started. It took a couple of years and more than a few failed expeditions, but eventually they found oil. This oil field was huge, and it continues to be a significant source of income for Norway today.
Okay, because this I'm like somewhat aware of, that Norway has lots of oil, and it's one of the reasons, not the only reason, but a big reason Norway is very, very wealthy. You've also invested the money very well.
Norway also did something unusual next. Instead of selling control, they built it. In 1972, the government founded Statoil, now called Equinor. The state owned most of it. They trained workers, built refineries, and learnt the business. This decision changed everything. Norway was successfully able to keep a large part of oil revenues within their country. This is quite unique in the world.
Whoa. That is incredible. That is so smart. So Norway could have outsourced the oil refining and the oil mining. Instead, Norway created its own like government oil company or whatever. So Norway, the company and the machines and the people that, harvest the oil are part of Norway. It's not some other company. So it's all in Norway. That is so freaking smart. Why is Norway so freaking smart?
Most resource-rich countries fall into what economists call the resource curse. Oil creates oligarchs, corruption rises and democracy weakens. But in Norway this didn't happen. There never really emerged a class of Norwegian oligarchs. Wealth stayed public, and they developed into one of the countries with the highest standards of living in the world.
Wow.
Norway has a GDP per capita of over $100,000, and they live on average 10 years longer than other people in the world.
I thought this was just a video about why Norway is going to be rich. It's really a video like talking about how awesome Norway is. And it turns out being rich also makes you like happy and prosperous too.
By the 1990s, Norway faced a new question. What do you do when oil money keeps growing? Most countries spend it, but Norway didn't. In 1990, they created the Government Pension Fund Global.
Right,
Every surplus krone went in the fund. The rule was simple: spend only the returns and save the rest. By law, the government can spend...
Oh my God. Why don't we have this? Why don't we do this in the United States? Like I said, we're in so much debt. It's drowning us in debt. It's unbelievable. Norway has like a surplus. Like, you guys are making money.
Can spend only about 3% of the fund each year. That discipline is rare. By 2023, the fund earned about $380 billion in market returns, but only a fraction was used. The rest stayed invested for future generations. Today, oil and gas make up around 20% of Norway's economy. Important, but not dominant dependence. Norway was able to diversify early. Then came Ukraine. Russia's invasion didn't just change geopolitics.
It's so cool how Norway, you guys were blessed with like a lot of natural resources, but you've taken that and you've invested it, so you're not even reliant that much on the natural resources. That was a good leg up, and you've used that to like cement Norway's wealth. So like, just perfectly done.
It changed energy flows. Norway's petroleum sector surged again. Its oil prices rose and profits exploded.
I can't help but think where, like, if the United States had done the same, because we generate a lot of money with other stuff, like not necessarily oil, some, but if we, with all the wealth in the United States, if we had done something like this, a fund, or just thinking about where we would be now, it'd be a lot better, I think.
And then phosphate entered the story. The deposit near Stavanger was first noticed years ago, but only in the early 2020s did scientists realise how deep it ran. Around 4,500 metres deep, far deeper than expected. At current technology levels, only about 1,500 metres is reachable, but Norway has seen this before. When Ekofisk was discovered, engineers expected 30 years of production. More than 50 years later, it is still running. Technology always catches up. If Norway can extract even part of this phosphate, it could control more than half the global phosphate supply.
Oh my God. So phosphate is for like batteries, like really important in this day and age. And you guys could have half. Did they say half? Half the global supply? Is that what they said?
That will completely change global markets. In 2021, China restricted phosphate exports to protect domestic supply. Prices surged worldwide. This showed how powerful supply control has become. Markets are no longer free in the old sense. They are now geopolitical tools. And Norway understands this too well, but not everyone is happy. The European Union is concerned. Phosphate refining is polluting. That is why Europe outsourced it decades ago. Norway is not a European Union member, but it belongs to the European Economic Area, so its laws still matter. In 2024, the EU is expected to vote on rules that could slow or accelerate extraction, because the environmental concerns are real, but there are also geopolitical concerns. Morocco, currently the world's largest supplier, would suffer. Phosphate makes up nearly a quarter of its exports. A sudden supply surge could collapse prices. There are also technical limits. Most of the phosphate is still out of reach, but history suggests that Norway will wait, because that is their strength. If extraction...
I mean, there's some problems here, but it's really great to be Norway in this position. There's no doubt about that.
happens, profits will likely flow into the same place oil profits did, the Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund. If that fund doubled or tripled over decades, Norway could reach something unprecedented. $1 million in public wealth per citizen. No other country comes even close. Some suggest Norway could increase foreign aid. Others joke it could fund megacities or global climate projects. But Norway's real power is restraint. They have shown that wealth does not have to destroy institutions, that patience can beat greed. This is why Norway may become the world's richest country, not through excess, but through control. Oil made them wealthy. Phosphate could make them untouchable, but only if they choose to use it the same way they always have.
That's a bold statement. Norway could become the richest country in the world. you certainly have the temperament and the intellect and the investing wherewithal, and I have no doubt with the money you could do amazing things. And it sounds like with this phosphate thing, that could be like a serious reality. But there's like a technological barrier to harvesting the phosphate right now, or anyway, it just sounds exciting for Norway. Um, Really exciting. I'm curious to see like where this is going to go in the years to come. If I'll look back on this video and be like, huh, oh yeah, this is why Norway is the most powerful, wealthy country in the world because of this. That phosphate video was right. Um, this sounds like a big deal, but it's going to take time to see. Anyway, it is really cool. This is big news. So I'm glad I took a look at this. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on this big phosphate news in Norway and what's going on. And sounds like it was discovered a few years ago, so maybe there's like some developments on it now, or that'd be cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and seeing Norwegian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.